Welcome back to the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast weekly show brought to you by Join Cycling. We have Paris Tour to recap, the Tour of Chongmin Island, Guangxi preview, Tour of Holland preview, as well as some statements, some combative statements. We've got Derek G issuing a second one. We have Pogacar revealing that he might have been what was behind his passive third week in the Tour, and we also have a battle between a Belgian competition authority and the UCI, which we'll get a bit into that, which is a bit of a strange one too. But otherwise, been pretty slow news day, I would say, the last week. Nothing like the Kian bomber.
Yeah, but we can't expect that every week, I reckon, either. So it's kind of like the first week after Lombardia, everybody recovers of the cycling season to the point that in a couple of weeks we'll start hyping up the next one again. But we're still talking about the 2025 one thus far because it's still ongoing, and race recapping is where it begins. And well, we'll get to maybe discussing Tour of Guangxi later when we do a race preview, but I do want to talk about 2 races that are like done now. And I want to start off with Paris Tour Patrick. For the people that don't know, Patrick also has a YouTube channel where he does recaps, visual video recaps of some races, including Paris Tour. And I'll let you guide this one because there was a bit of a tactical weirdness in the last 10 kilometers.
Yeah, so Paris Tour, it's a gravel race, pretty flat, but there's like some punchy hills, really entertaining. Decathlon, very strong. They tried to launch Godon, didn't work, he blew up. They then went, it's like Roubaix, in between the gravel sectors, there were all the attacks. Decathlon snuck away, actually following a move of Thibaut Gruel. Can I have some more, please, sir? And so we got the French duo up front. I'd say their sprint is pretty equal. Gruel in a marginally better, but it's really like we're talking 60-40, 50-50, both very fast.
Especially after a race that is not necessarily just a flat sprint stage. If it's just like a normal sprint, then I'd say a normal sprint I'd maybe take Gruel over La Perra. But after a bit of a rougher day, then I'm maybe leaning towards La Perra can also compete here. So it would have been relatively close, but the situation in the group behind was interesting because you've got Matteo Trentin in Group 2, Laporte in Group 2, Bissiger also in Group 2. So Bissiger is a teammate of La Perra. Bissiger is not a rider that has a sprint necessarily, so he has to have it from attacks. But for some reason, in the last 2 kilometers...
Oh, and Albert Philipsen and Vacek were there, and so Trek were working, but then Vacek had a mech, then he collapsed, and then Philipsen was very strong. He'd kind of been working for Vacek, then they had to go for him.
But to be clear, if the first 2 keep working together, they fight for the victory here.
Yeah.
That needs to be established here. But in the last 1.5 kilometers... they stopped doing that. And it starts off with Paul La Perra, who starts sitting in the wheel of Thibaut Gruel. He's probably saying to Gruel, mate, I've got my broski Bissiger in the back, in my backpack in Group 2. Bissiger, famous sprinter against Laporte and so forth. That's a card you can't use in the last 2 kilometers of a race like this. It's too late, right?
Yeah, the only way to use Bissiger is to stop pulling at like 6Ks to go and then start attacking with Bissiger, who's been sitting on. But I think Laporte basically killed Bissiger on the last hill with 9Ks to go. He went all out attacking, and then Bissiger just hung on, and then it looked cooked. So it was kind of predictable, actually, that it would happen because, La Perra is going to be like, I have a teammate behind. And Thibaut Gruel's like, okay, but if I just lead you out for 1K, I will lose. So I'm not going to pull either. They completely stop. They come back, and then I'm like, all right, at least Bissiger's going to attack the group with 700 to go from behind because that's your only option to weaken the sprint of Laporte and Trentin, who were both, very good sprinting after a hard classic. And Bissiger goes to the front just as a lead out for La Perra. So instead of sprinting 1v1 against Gruel, they do a lead out so he can sprint against Laporte and Trentin. And he obviously loses. Trentin wins ahead of Laporte. Philipsen third. So the 2 in front get no result on the podium. It was a French self-destruction.
Yep. A good old French self-destruction. It's been a while since I've seen one of these, I feel like. But It reminds me of the good old days when Bardet and Pinot were together in a breakaway and neither wanted to have each other win. That's the thought process I had in my head. Nonetheless, that was race 1.
It was actually a really good race to watch. I thought the last 30 Ks was good. Yeah.
I really like these like smaller. It's not really I'd say that the Naesen is more of a Roubaix ripoff than Paris Tour is because it's more muddy Paris Tour, but they give me the same vibes. Trobriand as well. Though those races are always something to watch. So definitely worth watching compared to a Grand Prix du Morbihan, which is not necessarily as interesting as Paris Tour, I would say. No offense to the Morbihan. To be fair, Lapartien is mayor there, no?
Where?
In Le Morbihan?
Yeah, sure.
Well, to be fair, he's got like 7 things he's doing and he's good at neither, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, Next up, Tour of Chongming Island. That's a race I closely watched in the last 48 hours, and it's a one-day race in China. It's a women's race, women's World Tour, if I recall correctly, and it came down to a sprint between the likes of Georgia Baker, Sophie van Rooyen, Katrien Schweinberger, and the reason I wanted to bring this race up is because we had a sprint there, and just to be clear, we've got the barriers on the side of the road. As usual, Schweinberger starts her sprint, and she's sprinting about 90% of a human away from the barrier. So she's sprinting
even
parallel
less, I reckon.
Yeah. She's sprinting...
To me, there's no gap.
There's no gap to pass. But in the last 20 meters, the barrier moves out a little bit, and she chooses to sprint parallel to the barrier. So she moves slightly towards... She does move towards the barrier. She moves parallel to the barrier to the side a little bit. And because she moved, she gets relegated. That is insane to me. She's sprinting parallel to the barrier here.
She kept her line.
Yeah.
And her movement is like well within the natural bounds of moving your bike side to side. This is the craziest relegation we've seen this year. I know we have been the relegation police, but I cannot believe they scrubbed out a one-day victory. I mean, in the men's, this would never have happened. Like, no, look, compare this to Jasper Philipsen closing Van Aert in the Tour last year. Remember when Philipsen closed Van Aert to the barriers last year in the Tour? That was way worse than this.
Yeah,
and then the argument was the barriers are moving.
This would be the only World Tour victory for human-powered health and the only World Tour victory for Katrien Schweinberger. So both the team and her got completely robbed here.
Yeah, and there was no intent, it's not like with Oliveira where actually he deserved to get relegated because he did he closed Kristen for no reason in Slovenia, so I got no sympathy for him, but this was crazy. Anyway, maybe it's a different commissaire because it's in a race, not in Europe. I have no idea.
The rules are the same regardless of where it is, so I have no mercy for this race. Also, the race should have their barriers straight. Let that get out of the way as well.
There's a race not on your recap list, Benji, and I think that's funny because this race doesn't exist.
Well, this race doesn't exist.
Trofeo Tessile and Moda Valdengo Europa. This race legit got made 10 days ago. There was no press. What is this?
I swear Del Toro was meant to ride it and then they took him off the start list a few days before after Lombardia. Imagine if Del Toro showed up.
So, have UAE asked the Italian federation to put on races so they can get to 100 wins? This race didn't exist. And they won with Adam Yates ahead of Rondell, Javine third. Scaroni was complaining about UAE. He was saying, it's not human that they're also playing for the podium, wanting a guy in third. I can sort of understand that if it was a Kolpak Balan guy, if it's a Fanchelou on Team Yukio. Christian Scaroni's got 2,000 UCI points. He's the farmer general. He's the general farmer.
I'm sorry, but UAE doesn't have to give out chances to these other World Tour teams like it's in a cereal box. I'm sorry, if you want a podium this race, get better.
Yeah, I mean, there's also why didn't Anna van der Breggen sprint Cassia Nuviadoma in the Europeans?
Yeah.
I can also understand if it's...
It's different for me. For me,
why is it different?
the situation I'm trying to convey is I have more of an issue with the fact that UAE rides all these smaller races with top level teams, changes the sport in a way where smaller level teams don't have as much place to show themselves, etc., which is negative for the commercial side of those smaller teams. That's the side of it that I don't like. The fairness towards Scaroni, you're a World Tour rider, bro. Get over it.
And a good one.
Yeah.
And actually, in his example, he's also incorrect in that J Vine attacking was not just for third, it was also to make sure they won the race, because it forced Rondell to pull, and then Yates could sprint him at the end to put pressure on Rondell in front. But I agree with you, like, these races traditionally, there's so a Kolpak guy can show himself, there's so a Bardiani can win a race, Vinny Fantini. Yeah, it's a .1 that didn't exist after Lombardia, and you got Adam Yates and Vine there, which is it's their right, but for the healthy ecosystem of those teams, they don't get the chances to win on the minor level anymore. I mean, there are no easy pro races. That's just the new reality.
Yep, that is true. That is true. But you were talking earlier, there's a race that is not on your list. There's another race that isn't on our list. A race that was held Thursday evening in our bedrooms. When I was on my bike and you were on your bike, Patrick, we were fighting for the lives of ourselves here in a Zwift race organized by Join Cycling. And Patrick, you got fifth.
That was pretty good.
Out of 260 people.
No, I got fifth in my category.
Well,
I wasn't fifth overall. I had 260. That'd be outrageous. Los Adacase was in it. There was professionals in it.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're fifth. Woo!
Benji's trying to spice up the read.
The result is not on PCS, so I can event whatever I want.
I went out too hard. I nearly gave up. Around like 25 minutes in. I was like, eh. And then I just found a good group, and then I just, battled to the line, came fifth. Pretty happy with it. It was pretty fun. Like, to spend an hour and 15 on the indoor trainer at 8 o'clock, it went much faster than you'd think. So I had a really good time. It was good to see. It was like nearly 300 people in the race, which was crazy. Yeah. I think the biggest race on that evening, or biggest event on that evening. So thanks for everyone that came.
I had a wonderful experience. I was in this group in like 190th position roughly, and I was with these two guys, and we were relaying for the second lap, working together, I even waited in the descent for a little bit to try and make sure we could try and work together to catch someone else. And we get to the last 3 kilometers, and I'm ready to like drop a 1000 watt bomb on these two frauds. And then in the chat I see the one guy say, "Oh, Benji's gonna give us a sprint here. I'm 79 next week." I was like, well, that ruins every celebration I could have done if I beat these guys.
So if you want to join, well, we don't have a race this week. This week we have a workout at the same time, 8 o'clock European time in the evening and 4:30 Pacific Standard Time PST in the afternoon for the Americans. It's a VO2 Max Pyramids workout. So we do it on Watopia. It's on the bigger loop route. And you just do the workout as a group all together. So it changes every week, which I quite like. I don't want to do a race every week, but it's cool to do the workouts. It's still a pretty hard, intense workout, but you stay together as a group and you can switch your mind off.
Every week a race, every day, bro. Come on.
Yeah, Benji does a race every day, which not for me.
I love it.
My hand's nearly healed.
Yeah, that definitely held you back. Yeah, otherwise it would have been podium, right? I can't see anything.
Yeah, it's nearly healed.
You're inventing an injury, I see.
So
talking about inventing injuries, Tadej Pogacar. No, I can't do that.
No, that's a great segue. I can't
say that. Tadej Pogacar reveals that he had knee pain or something of the sorts during the Tour de France in a Slovenian article, Seol.net. I do want to give the original website a shout out, because we always see the the Western cycling media, like cycling news, copying it, and then we say cycling news posted something, but in reality, it's a Slovenian journalist themselves, and it basically said that yes, there was something wrong with Tadej Pogacar in the third week. He had some knee pain that even led to him potentially questioning his participation for the Queen stage, etc. So, what do we learn from this, Patrick?
That maybe the crash took it out of him more than we think. That, you know, trying to do a Grand Tour after crashing at 50 k's an hour, and even though you do some good performances, it can, if it moves your alignment on the bike off a little bit, you get some compensation. Maybe you pay for it a week later. Maybe the cold got into him. Maybe he was just, maybe his knee was kind of fine, but he was just over it, and so his mind went to a physical discomfort that otherwise wouldn't have bothered him. Could be anything.
But it's also, I also feel like we knew that, like, we watched that third week. We saw not the best Pogacar in that third week. We stated it multiple times. Does that mean he was beatable? Not necessarily, because the competition was worse.
He wasn't beatable because he didn't get dropped at any point. So,
but yeah, it does show that riding a Grand Tour is a pretty tough job. I think it's fair to say. But
I think it definitely, we're not projecting that he was over it in the third week.
Maybe even just mentally after, but the injury must not have helped with that. That's for sure. Yeah. But hey, you want to Tour de France, so I don't think he'll complain the week after.
Does that make you more or less likely to think he does? So next year he's going to do, so he'll do Strada, San Remo.
UAE Tour? Or not?
No, they won't make him do it 2 years in a row. No way.
Del Toro? Is UAE Tour this time?
They'll make Yates or Vine can win it.
Not that certain of a Vine win at UAE Tour.
Yeah, crosswinds, yeah.
But the rest of the schedule, Roubaix, RVV.
He wants to win Roubaix and San Remo. They're the big goals. Can he combine that with Giro Tour?
I don't think he's going to do that. I actually expect Tour Vuelta. Because he's always yapped about Tour Vuelta, but he's never done it, right?
Yeah, I think it's, if he felt really good and mentally fresh at the end of the tour, he would do the Vuelta. But then he gets to the end of the tour and he's like, I'm cooked.
Yeah.
So.
But is he again going to be cooked after the next Tour de France if he does Strade, MSR, Roubaix, RVV, LBL probably as well?
Yeah.
It's a long run, eh?
It's a long run, but low race days. I guess.
He can do it. We've seen it before, so.
I think he will go Tour Vuelta.
Yeah.
But that depends how he comes out of the tour, yeah. But San Remo is the big goal.
I kind of expect Jonas to do the Giro. So I fear there is a possibility that we'll see two Grand Tours where Pogacar and Vingegaard are separately present. And that scares me a little bit.
Yeah, because the Vuelta was, the worst Grand Tour we ever covered. Various reasons. Well, Giro 20.
There's a few Giros there.
Giro 23. Ooh,
only Lusari was good on that one.
Oh, this Vuelta was bad.
Yeah. And like the
but if a good Almeida plus Del Toro against Vingegaard, that could be good.
I guess.
You're not feeling it?
I am somewhat feeling it, but it's also Jonas Vingegaard before doing a Tour de France instead of after.
Yeah, that's the thing. If he's in tour shape, then he just
cookies them.
Yeah.
But if he's in tour shape at the Giro, he won't be at tour shape at the Tour de France, which is problematic for the main goal of Visma, which is the Tour de France, I believe.
Yeah. But then if Pogacar, maybe it opens up second and third. Does Simon Philip want to defend the Giro?
I don't know, bro.
Yeah. Well, we don't know the routes yet, so you can speak with a lot more certainty when you see the routes.
Simon Philip now had the Giro and a Vuelta, right? So maybe he's going to hunt for the Tour de France next.
Why can't he win the Tour?
Because his legs aren't able to push the watts that Pogacar can.
Pogacar couldn't have followed Simon Philip on Finestra.
He doesn't need to follow him if he's ahead of him.
That's Pogacar's news. So yeah, it was actually quite interesting to see him do. I mean, The craziest thing to me was both Pogačar and Roglic had their criterium on the same day in Slovenia. And
Really?
yeah.
How stupid is that?
Yeah.
Couldn't they agree on something?
I don't know how packed the cycling calendar is in Slovenia, but yeah, I would have thought their two biggest riders could have it on different times.
It's like you and I going to Andorra. No, you and I going to a place where a race is happening.
Going to London and having a meet and greet in separate locations at the same time.
Yes.
But you and I probably have more beef than Pogačar and Roglic.
Yeah, we keep fighting all the time.
There is something on Roglic. So there was an interesting article. I will wait for Luke to get the credit. But Roglic spoke also to the media at his criterion. So we both have Roglic and Pogačar speaking quite frankly to the press at their various events. And Roglic was asked about Remco coming in. He was quite a bit more magnanimous, I would say, than Schielmoser. This is also from RTV Slovenia. So they had their hands full. They're probably like, fuck, all their journalists for the day were it's the busiest day of the year. But yeah, Roglic said that he felt in good shape in the Giro, then some just crashes and sickness kind of messed up the rest of the year. But in the Tour, he was good some days, not good the others. He said for sure he'll be on the bike next year. Not for sure I'll be on the bike with Broe. So that's a key distinction, I would say. And what did he say? He said everyone's getting faster. What does the arrival of Remco Evenepoel mean to your team and to you? He said it's a good thing because I can step aside a bit. So I think he means not all the pressure is on.
Swiss.
Yeah, he can do Tour de Suisse. He can do kind of not have all the pressure of the whole team on him. It's going to be on Remco. And then they asked about, there's a rumors about your transfer. Is that possible? Roglic said, I didn't comment myself. It was more like others talking. If you ask me, I would say that I still have 1 year left on my contract.
I'm happy for him. But
so what do you think? Does Primož Roglic start 2026 on Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe?
Yes, I do think he will start on the Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe, but I think these interviews asking Roglic about his opinion on next year are currently useless because I don't think Red Bull have had the conversations internally yet. Based on all the yapping I've heard in Belgian media, I'm sorry, even Sven van Turnhout started quacking again. I just don't get anything from information in there that I'm like, okay, these guys have talked to each other already. It's like they speak of what's to come all the time, and that's fair. Off-season is still yet to start, but I haven't learned much, I would say, on Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe for next year. I think they've got some work to do, especially because, especially in the tactical department after looking at Lombardia. Nonetheless, we also have we've got some stuff about SRAM, Patrick, and so basically, the way I'll say how I understand it, and then you can correct me in every way. So the UCI came out and brought out a potential safety tests for gearing limits to be implemented in the future potentially.
In a race with no descents, yep.
Yes. SRAM decided, meh, do not like that. We're going to try and counter that in a legal fashion through Belgian court?
I don't actually know how it got to the Belgian court, but certainly there was one manufacturer affected by this currently, although the other manufacturers presumably have 13 speed and whatever gearings in the works, but it was SRAM with their gearing, which is used by Movistar, Bora, SD Works, Visma, Trek, and...
Correct.
I think is the
Canyon
list.
SRAM, probably.
Yep. So some pretty big teams, and they were the only ones affected. The test was supposed to be recommended by SAFER, the safety organization, and then it was going to be conducted, in the Tour of China. And the idea is that riders are going too fast on descents because the hypothesis is riders go too fast on descents because they can push a gear that's too big, and therefore they're going at 90 when they would reach terminal pedaling velocity at 80 if they had restricted gearing. Therefore, let's make them go slower because then we will block them using that bigger gear and they'll go 80. And so when they crash at 80, it's less likely they'll have us die than at 90 k's an hour. Now, that was going to be tested at Tour of China, which has no descents, pretty much.
Guangxi, basically?
Yeah, Tour of Guangxi, which is like 4 sprints and an uphill finish, a Unipuerto uphill finish.
Lots of downhill data to work with.
I know there is one Muro, which they go down, but yeah, I'm not sure it's the best place to conduct a test in the first place, to be honest. And the Belgian Competition Authority, they released a decision. So it came before them, and they released a 69-page decision.
They've done more work in the span of a month than the UCI has done in years.
I don't know how they got this out so quickly. I mean, I've never seen
Belgians,
I've never seen a
work very hard.
Get a 69-page decision out after what? When was the hearing? They got it out like very shortly after the hearing. Like a week and a half after. That's crazy. Anyway, that's in French. So the whole thing is in French. If you want to read the 69-page document, it's in the UCI's press release. I will just refer myself to the 2-page English press release from the Belgian Competition Authority, for which I thank them. So, which they say, the Belgian Competition Authority suspends the technical standard of the UCI limiting the maximum gear ratio. So on 9 October, the BCA imposed interim measures suspending the test because they consider that the maximum gear ratio standard and the test, which governing its adoption by the UCI, does not meet the required conditions of objectivity and transparency. This standard further generates disproportionate negative effects on a sports equipment supplier, namely SRAM. They required the UCI to suspend immediately the implementation of the standard or the test. They prohibited the UCI from imposing transmission ratio limitations, and they also required the UCI to publish within 24 hours following the notification of the decision a press release agreeing to this, basically indicating that the maximum gear ratio standard is not applicable. And in the event of non-compliance, the BCA, says there could be an imposition of penalty payments. So the UCI then released a statement themselves, which was kind of funny because they did exactly what the BCA required them to do, but they were just made it very clear we're not happy about it. So within 24 hours, they released a very short statement saying the UCI challenges the decision to prevent the safety test plan for the Tour of Guangxi. The UCI notes the decision of the BCA. As a result of the provisional measures imposed by the BCA, the test plan for the Tour of Guangxi will not take place and the test protocol is currently suspended. The UCI expresses its surprise at the intervention of a competition authority on a subject desired by all stakeholders of cycling. I would say that's debatable if it's desired by all stakeholders of cycling if they're representatives at the hearing. But anyway, I'm pretty Dan Bigham is a stakeholder in cycling, and from the Instagram stories he was posting about this, I'm not sure it was supported by that stakeholder in cycling.
Yeah, I don't see that either. That's the UCI pretending the world is fine, but it isn't.
The UCI deeply regrets that rider safety does not appear to be a shared objective with those who challenge the implementation of the maximum gearing test protocol before the said authority. However, the UCI will continue to act in the interest of the safety of riders, other members of the peloton, and spectators. The UCI announces that it will appeal the above-mentioned decision. Changes may also be made to the testing protocol to allow for the implementation of the test desired by all stakeholders in professional cycling. That's it.
It's ridiculous to me to hear the UCI talk about safety being the optimal, the main priority when it clearly is not the main priority for the UCI either. So their commercial interests are on the same line. They care equally about their money than they do about their safety, and sometimes more about their money than the safety. So, sorry, I'm not having this shit. They should also step up and do better shit, because the last year has been a joke from the UCI.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the maximum gearing is the biggest issue. I think we should try to stop riders crashing into road furniture is like the number one thing we should be addressing, which is hard because I know there's a lot of road furniture.
There's many things,
but I agree with them on the number two, that rider behavior is also a significant cause of crashes. But
I agree, but they always point to it to make sure that they don't have to do anything about the things that are in their control. That's how I perceive it at the moment.
But rider behavior, I see as that too.
Rider the biggest issue. What, sorry?
But I see rider behavior as something they can control as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's true, but quite often I see the UCI pointing at rider behavior and in a way of like, but rider behavior is the biggest thing, so it's on the riders to do better, instead of covering all the issues that are wrong on the UCI side.
Yeah, I mean, motorbikes in the course, in cars in the course, road furniture, these are the number one biggest issues, I would say.
Even the whole drama about the rider tracking system, that's not, for me, there's no good side in that situation. In that the whole debacle around the Tour de Romandie, to me, in that situation, you've got the teams and also the UCI who are fighting over the commercial side of things, of rider tracking things that should be there solely for safety purposes. And both were like, but what if we could earn a little bit of money out of it? And what if we could sell the data? Blah, blah, blah. Sorry, irrelevant. Make an agreement where commercial interests are not possible from both sides and start with that. For the time being, so that we've got some fucking rider tracking in the sport.
Yeah, we still don't have rider tracking, even though the technology's there and been there for quite a while. And it's not like the most complicated technology, I don't think.
For the people that don't realize, on one side, you've got the UCI who's working with their own system of rider tracking and trying to implement that. But on the other side, you've got a specific set of teams that work under the Velon initiative, which have their own hardware and software to make that happen. And their commercial interests are fighting each other over who can implement, over how it's going to be implemented in the sport. I'm sorry, but if we're going to be yapping about how it's going to be implemented just for the commercial interests of both sides for the next year, there's going to be another death in the sport, like Muriel Führer, like Megan Fraser. Those are riders that may or may not have been preventable if there was stuff like that in the sport. So why don't we prioritize actually trying to figure it out as soon as possible? I'm sorry, but it actually frustrates me, as you can tell.
Yeah. Other news, another statement, two people at sort of head-to-head at an impasse. Derek G released a statement 5 days ago on Twitter and Instagram. I won't read the whole thing.
It's a long text. It comes down to the fact, I would say, that he's kind of talking about his side of things, where he's now in a situation, he can't comment on the ongoing proceedings, but that there may or may not be, from his understanding, there's a damages claim said to exceed approximately 30 million euros. Wow. Go ahead.
Well, he terminated his contract. He says, I terminated my contract with just cause.
Yeah.
And he says, as is every person's right when they are unable to continue performing their work under the existing circumstances, it followed an irreparable relationship with the team principal, Sylvain Adams, as well as serious concerns related to racing for the team, both from a safety and personal belief standpoint that weighed heavily on my conscience. Money was not the issue that led to my termination. I understand the team sees it differently and that this will be for the competent authorities to decide. However, I'm now facing what I understand to be a damages claim said to exceed approximately 30 million euros for doing nothing more than exercising my fundamental rights as a professional and a person. This strengthens my belief that leaving the team was the right decision, regardless of recent announcement of branding changes and cosmetic structural shifts.
That last one is a small sneer to the team, it feels like.
Well, the last one saying, isn't the last one saying, I'm not coming back just because you changed the name and Adams isn't as vocal anymore?
Yeah, that's exactly how I read that. So yeah, it's another development in this, but it just shows that there's a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes that we don't necessarily have an eye upon, you know? Like I'm 95% of the time gonna be on the rider's side in this situation, and that's no different here for me.
I mean, but he signed an extension.
Well, he signed an extension, but at the end of the day, there's things like labor laws in the world, eh?
Yeah.
And I know we can discuss it, but I do believe there's been changes in the last 2 years around the team of IPT that can inflict changes, in his opinion, on the team as well. When did he sign an extension? Just after?
After Giro 23, I think.
There's been a couple of changes since then, in my opinion, surrounding the team of IPT.
Yeah, maybe. I think that's the thing. It really depends. It can depend on something as, you know, you can have one person can have their view, another person can have their view on whether he can terminate his contract, whether it's right or not, what the moral side of it is. The reality is it depends on really boring things like which country has the jurisdiction over the contract. What are the labor laws? Yeah, what are the labor laws there about it? I don't know.
I don't think there's anti-slap laws in Israel, but I could be wrong.
Benji's an Israeli employment law jurisprudence expert.
Exactly.
Yeah, like you don't know. So it's going to, as he says, it's for the competent authorities, i.e. the courts, to decide whether they can hit him. It sounds like he's been threatened to be sued for 30 million euros. Don't know where that number's come from. I mean, that's just unforeseeable economic loss. That's not real.
Yeah, because we often hear this, no, with like court cases, etc. It's like, oh, damage is up to X amount, but it never actually is the amount that was set at the start.
One Ayuso buyout, it's 100 million. We'll never let him go. Oh, actually, 10.
It's still a high amount of money, no? Was it not? I think Tutobici or something said something about 10 million buyout plus 5 times 3 million per year.
Yeah. So UAE got 10 million for Ayuso.
That is a lot of money, in my opinion, for Juan Ayuso.
Yeah, but in the end, the buyout was just 3 times 3 years his contract.
Yeah, but
despite whatever's in the like the buyout was in the end, it sounds like just whatever his salary was times 3 years left.
Yeah, and then I think you pointed this out in our personal chat back in the day, that one of the reasons that the buyout clause, one of the reasons that Ayuso's contract with Little Trek is then 5 years is because that buyout money is so big that they don't just want to pay 10 million for 1 year with Juan Ayuso, you know?
Yeah, they have to smooth out the buyout over a number of years. So that's why it's 5 years.
But anyway, I do conclude that I don't expect Derek G to be riding in a team in January 2026.
Because if IPT change name, they change it to Canada, which we've confirmed doesn't void any of the contracts. That the paying agent is not changing. Then, yeah, I think it depends. I guess we don't exactly know what's happened to him in the team.
So,
but
it doesn't change anything, right? Are we sure?
In terms of like voiding the existing contracts? Yeah, because DSM changed country.
That's a shame, because there would have been some interesting transfers last minute then.
Yeah, but on that, and segueing to that topic, I mean, we're getting to tomorrow is the last day to submit the documents for all the UCI world teams to the, submit the documents to the UCI.
What documents? What does that entail?
It's like bank guarantees, what riders they have under salary for next year, or like, can you run this team administratively, financially, ethically? There's maybe one other one. And then once you've ticked all those 4 boxes, sporting wise, then decides the licenses, which is the UCI points and relegation. So for UNOX to be a world team next year, they first have to show they have the resources to pay for all their riders with bank guarantees, and then they can do the relegation ladder, etc. But yeah, the teams have to submit it tomorrow or by tomorrow. And that means, to me, that's kind of like a final, we'll say, on Archaea. like Arkea, Wanty, Lotto, these teams, if you don't submit it by tomorrow, you don't get the license.
There's just been an article released about 2 minutes ago by HLN.be in Belgium about the merger between Lotto and Intermarché, talking about the fact that it's one day before. And I need to log in to see the whole article, but it's fair to say that they're not done anything yet. They're not finalized it. According to our information, Intermarché and the future CEO haven't even signed their names yet, and the rider roster is still at least one rider short. Although the prognosis is still positive, the word miracle is gradually being used.
Sure. I thought they had too many riders.
Mate, I don't know. Girmay, Thijssen and Van Eetveld can still leave, says the title. Well, Binyan is leaving, no? We know that already, right? It's not official yet, but he's set to go to Israel Premier Tech, or whatever that team is going to be named next year.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think the point is there's going to be a lot of movement, maybe in the news in the next 3 days, because if a team doesn't submit these documents correctly, like if they don't have the money, then you also basically, I think, I haven't checked the exact rules, but you're then compelled to tell your riders, well, this is the case. And so Arkea will probably announce that they're folding, unfortunately. And there's just a lot of staff, a lot of riders without a job for next year because contraction means people lose their jobs, which is very sad. And but that is what's happening.
They both had a dev team, so it ain't going to be a similar side dev team anymore next year as well, which some dev riders will have their future stripped away and might not have another team pick them up after this. So that's a massive shame. There's also 2 transfers we want to discuss. Kevin Vauquelin has been announced by Ineos Grenadiers and Mavi Garcia by UAE Team ADQ. Let's talk about the first one first, because Total Energy came along for Ineos as a secondary name sponsor. We saw that on the jersey, whether we liked it or not. They were on the jersey. But about Kevin Vauquelin, though, obviously, he stepped forward this year in terms of his abilities as a GC rider, I would say. It's not like joining Ineos means that he's instantly going to be a podium competitor at a Grand Tour. I don't see that. I think we both don't see that, but I do think it's a good signing for Ineos. And I also think, well, he doesn't have much of a choice in terms of Arkea, but Ineos seems to be a team that on paper has the opportunities for Vauquelin for sure. So add to that wasn't Godon also announced already? So the Frenchification of Ineos has begun?
Well, yeah, you got the French natty champ, Godon, Vauquelin, Laurence.
Yeah.
Any other French riders?
I don't know.
There should be some more. Who else is rumored to go there?
Bro, I don't remember.
Svested Barsteng, but he's Norwegian, but he's on a French team.
Bartseng, you can say it French, and then maybe he can...
Yeah, Birdsong. So Fuglsang, yeah. He retired, did he not?
Yes, but it means Birdsong, no?
Yeah. The Vauquelin is kind of the best possible rider they could get, isn't he? TT, dominant GC rider with some punch. Doesn't he suit like the classic Ineos Team Sky mold of a GC rider?
I think so.
He's a very strong TT, uphill sprint, needs a Sky train. I mean, he says he wants to race aggressively for GC, 7th in the Tour.
I think top 5 is not unreasonable as a future goal for Kevin Vauquelin in a Grand Tour. I don't see him ever podium in a Grand Tour.
Yeah, I think the Tour will be tough.
Yeah. If you can get 7th, with some extra luck, you can get 6th or maybe 5th.
He was a very soft top 10.
Yeah, but we have that every now and then.
Yeah.
I don't see a podium in a Grand Tour happening for Vauquelin.
I think the Giro with a lot of TTKs with bad, shitty weather suits him. He's really good in bad weather. He's always good in the cold February races. He's very good in Flesh when it was raining. He was really... Did he win Flesh? No, second behind Stevie?
No, second.
So that in the shitty weather, he was second there, second again this year behind Pogacar.
This year, yeah.
So I think A really bad weather Giro that's raced defensively with TTKs is where he could try to podium.
Can we read something into the fact that LBL has not really worked out for him? Those kind of races is 1 day fatigue a struggle for Vauquelin?
Because he's not been good across the hard 1 day. Like, he has this crazy good result in Flesh, but he's not top 5 Amstel, Montreal, Liège.
And Flesh is easier than the 250 kilometer ones.
Yeah. Flesh has a completely different top 10 normally. Well, not completely different, but it is a very different race. Like, Healy is much better in the longer races than in Flesh. Yeah. Like, Healy in a race, a 200k race like Frankfurt or Hamburg, you say would suit him loads. He's not really that good, but then when you give him 270Ks in Worlds, Amstel, Healy's a monster. So they are different races. And but Ineos need, I mean, who's there? They lost Pidcock, so isn't he like a much cheaper version of Pidcock?
Ooh.
Similar race program, I reckon they'll put him on.
I think Grand Tour-wise, I'd say yes. 1 day race-wise, I'm not feeling that similarity yet. Like, Pidcock can do better in monuments.
Pidcock has been proven since 2021 in hard 1 day races.
Yeah.
Like, proven. So, Strada, Amstel, whatever. Still, I think it's a good signing for Ineos. It's a quality rider wanted by a lot of teams, and it's one of the best GC riders on the market. Is he the best placed rider from this Tour de France that's changed team?
Ooh, I think so. Let me take a look.
He is.
Yes. And Oscar Onley is staying at Picnic, so...
He is, yeah.
And Teddy Pikachu is staying in the UAE Team Emirates, so...
What's his buyout?
I think if he ever tries to leave...
That's what Ayuso said.
I don't think it's about money anymore.
That's what Ayuso said. Remember who
Go
you signed
talk to the dictator, buddy.
Remember who you signed the contract with. It's all nice when you got the Richard Mills, but yeah.
That's it. No, Mavi Garcia to UAE Team ADQ.
Yep.
Mavi Garcia had a really good season.
A breakout season. She had a breakout season. Crazy. She was crazy good.
Yeah. Like, podium at the World Championships. Forgot about that, actually.
Yes.
She won a Tour de France Femme stage on stage 2 to Quimper. Is that the episode I did solo this year? That was my solo breakaway.
I think so, yeah. I was in the Metro.
The majority of her season was relatively consistent, I'd say, but it's that Tour de France victory that really stands out, you know, and that World Champs podium. So at the age of 41, she's coming towards the end of her career, but she is doing one more year at UAE Team ADQ. I think she will retire at the end of next year.
I think I heard that, but I mean, winning a Tour stage, third in Worlds, like GC-wise, maybe not what she hoped for, but still.
She's good.
Crazy good year. And UAE Team ADQ are a really, really strong team. I mean, they've shot up the rankings. They've got, you know, Elisa Longo-Borghini was a huge signing. They also signed Megan Yastrab. She's only 23. She was the junior world champion, and she was third in CIMAC. She's a classic sprinter, and I think she's got some pretty good margin to progress. And her alongside Longo-Borghini and like Van Wevelgem, Omloop will be pretty good combination.
But do we feel like Vlodarczyk has been really good as well at the Tour de France Femme, but do we feel like they've secured the future in the same way that it can't be in the same way that the men's team has done in 2018 to get a Pogacar-like figure? I don't see that here yet either. So they still got to try and hunt the youngsters. They've got a dev team. Some of them are very talented on there. Vlodarczyk's talented, but what is the ceiling there? It's
if you don't have Kladnova, then don't bother in 3 years.
Storm is coming.
Well, they have Elena Ivanchenko. She's a good young climber. She took a bit of a step this year, 21.
Yeah.
Paola Blasi's 22. She's been racing for 18 months. She was just racing amateur Catalan races.
And she's cooking.
A year ago, and she just won Euros U23. They have Federica Venturelli. She's the next Ellen Van Dijk, 20-year-old. She just extended and joined from the World Tour team, the Devo team. She's a really powerful rider. So they got Squibon's only 23.
Yep.
Swinkles is only 26. I thought, yeah, she's younger than I thought.
So they're pretty settled for the future at the moment, I would say.
I think they look pretty good, yeah. They signed
Okay.
Roy Ackers.
Yes, they did. They signed Paulina Roakers.
I think they got a lot stronger. Garcia, Roy Ackers, Squibon, Elisa Longoborghini, Blasi, and maybe...
Does this show an increase in investment?
Yeah. Because Roy Ackers is like, she came second in the Tour last year.
Yeah.
Garcia just is not going to be cheap. I think so.
Okay. Anyway, race previews. Oh my God. I'm looking at the race preview. I see Tour of Guangxi, and then I see that Luke smuggled in the Tour of Holland in our notes. Can't believe it.
Tour of Holland begins today. We have a prologue and then a Dordrecht sprint, an ITT that's 15 kilometers long, then a more hilly stage around Sittard. Then they do the Vanberg loops, finishing on the Vanberg on stage 4. Then on stage 5 is a cobbled stage in Arnhem. So there could be crosswinds in any of these stages, frankly, particularly in the... Which one?
Patrick. I look at stage 5 and I look at the profile and I see Red Bull kilometer.
Uphill sprint. So yeah, I mean, this race has 4 plus, it has 19 kilometers of flat time trial. So you would in theory say, oh, it's going to be like Olav Koy winning GC from the Bonies, but I think Soderfist is going to win GC. Because Soderfist, how much time is he going to take on Koy in the flat sprint, in the TT?
Hall is here as well, but prologue?
But Dan Holer can't take any of the Red Bull Boney sprints, whereas Soderfist can.
Yeah. I'm trying to look at the rest of the list here.
Delis is here.
Merlier's
it's actually
here.
A good start list.
Yeah. Merlier's going to cook everyone in the sprints.
Van Poppel, Dan Holer, Soderfist, Ethan Hayter, Tim Merlier.
I just told you. 3 times. I named him 3 times, and then it takes you another 10 seconds to realize he's here.
Wow. Lund Andresen, Ballerini, Moschetti.
We don't have to keep going. We were done after Merlier.
Fritz Biesterboss,
is he
Vice
here?
World Champion Gravel.
He's here, you're right.
Yeah. Of course he's here. He's big guy now.
Well, physically, yes.
No, I think second in gravel to like the Belgian team who were rolling everyone. Pretty good result.
There's Mickey Mouse races. I watched the women's
That
gravel.
is kind of crazy, isn't it? That like Florian Vermeersch was like, I'm very lucky the team didn't make me ride Paris Tour. So
sorry. I'm not having that shit. I watched the women's UCI Gravel World Championships, and I had to stab my eyes out at Yara Castellane's activities in the last 2 kilometers. So,
but the riders really want to do the gravel. The riders really want to do
because they're delusional, Patrick.
I don't think it is delusional. I reckon probably Vermeersch got a big bonus for it.
Nah, I'm not having that shit.
Because Colnago is like, Colnago is saying Tour de France champion and gravel world champion with the bike.
I'm happy for them.
But yeah, I also like Paris Tour was sick and gravel worlds was not. Guangxi, we also have a lot of sprints. Paul Magnier is trying to become the most winning rider this year. He already won this morning. There was a huge crash, unfortunately, after an easy stage. And Magnier is up to, I think, 15 wins this year, which is outrageous. Yeah, 15 victories this year. And I think, how many of them? Wow, that's crazy. 14 of Magnier's victories have come since June.
Yes. Can I be controversial? I expect an answer. Can I be controversial?
Yeah.
He's doing a Mickey Mouse schedule.
Yeah, he's running the Farmer Simulator on...
Could have won a Vuelta stage if he rode the Vuelta instead of the Giro, like I said in January, but instead he's doing Okolo Slovenska and Crow Race. I'm sorry, but if you don't win the sprints there, then should retire.
Yeah, but win's a win. Would you say the same about Del Toro doing Trofeo Mattiotti Pantani against...
Yes.
No, but I said it because I'm a hater.
This is like Olaf Koy doing Tour of Britain.
Yeah, but what is a sprinter supposed to do if they don't do the Vuelta?
Just fucking sit on your, do some Zwift races before you join cycling enough.
But that's the thing. It's like, you say, Tour of Britain, and I agree, Tour of Britain, it's a dot pro, but the sprint field was...
No, it's different. It's different. They're allowed to race these races, but I don't need to pretend that these are amazing victories.
But it's funny how, like, some point ones, like Crow Race and Slovakia, the sprint field, are just horrific. And then Tour of Holland's a point one, and it's fucking Coy, Merlier, DeLee, and Philipsen would have been there if he wasn't Crook.
Marketing and location is where it's at when it comes to that decision for me. Tour of Holland is probably trying to get top-level riders there to try and bring their race to a higher standard, because I don't expect Tour of Holland to be a race that will stay within that classification as long as possible. I think they want to become a more important race in the future of the sport. While those other races are in Eastern European countries, etc., which maybe a longer travel, etc. That's my view on things.
Anyway, Manier's doing really
Lucas
really well.
shouting Bing Bang. Hasn't existed for a while, bro.
But like Balois, Belgian Tour, to win a sprint at dot pro level there, you have to be the best sprinter in the world.
That's why those victories are more important.
Yeah.
The victories are relative to their competition.
Yeah. Still, Manier is pretty good. He won today in Guangxi. So Oliveira looked back when he was doing the lead out, and then he crashed his brother, and then like 100 guys went down. So that was not the best start. Tomorrow we have, I'm not going to call it a versatile sprint. Normally it's just not. There is an 8K 4% climb, but then it's like 30Ks from the finish, and it's going to be a sprint. Then there's another sprint with a few hills. Then there's another sprint with some harder hills with some bonies on top. So maybe the break has a chance on stage 4, especially if Manier wins another 2. If Manier wins another 2, everyone needs to be on the break in stage 4. Mm-hmm. Stage 5, we have the Nong La finish as the main GC day. It's a 10-minute all-out effort, 12-minute all-out effort up a steep ramp, which I quite like. And then stage 6, we have in Nanning, I would say a versatile sprint because they do 3 reps of maybe 5 of a 11.5% 1,300 meter climb with 17Ks to go. If they don't try and drop Manier there, then I have no sympathy for anybody. And I think that will be a proper reduced sprint or some attackers.
Okay.
Who do you think is going to win GC?
Oh, let me take a look at.
Narvaez is there.
Well, the main care for me for this race is to see what Cofidis does here, because I think UNOX still has Chrono del Sion on their schedule, and if Cofidis gets 400 UCI points here, which I don't expect them to get, but if they do, then they can still surpass UNOX and get the final World Tour spot.
Cofidis normally do Japan.
Oh, but they will get beaten by a little track there probably, but I don't know the Japan start list.
It's not bad for Aaron Broe.
I want to go there next year. Come on, some Japanese sponsor, fly us out.
Yep.
Patrick and Benji climb Mount Fuji.
That'd be pretty sick. I think for GC, it's Narvaez is looking pretty good if he's in good shape. Bookman, we're going for the points like Benji said at Cofidis. I'd be keen to see how Bolocki goes at EF, AJ August at Ineos, so some young guys. Shelmos is here. Didn't expect that.
Narvaez is here. Mollema has been in good form actually the last week.
Who else? Adria, I think it's a bit hard for him. Mayers for the sprints. Who else uphill? Keanu Otterbrook's in good shape. He'll be going for GC. And then, Jan Christen will be good. I think Paul Dublé is going to podium.
Okay.
Good finish for Dublé.
I think Alan Hatterley is going to podium the mountaintop finish.
No, I don't. Because he was good in Saudi on the steep Unipuerto.
No, that's not the reason. The reason is that I vividly remember Milan Vader doing well on this type of finish back in the day in this race.
He won the race.
And one mountain bike rider equals other mountain bike rider will also do pretty well. That's my logic.
He won the race. He won GC here in 23.
Just wait.
So that's Tour of China and Tour of Guangxi rather. And we'll see if Pavel Bittner. I think Pavel Bittner is the best chance to beat Manier in the sprint. Hopefully that can happen. Any other news?
I agree. Off-season plans. We got to talk about our off-season plans because we've got these weekly shows, but usually in the off-season we've got some stuff that we also do, which is cycling award show, which is coming. We're going to do some awards awarding the best sprinter, best climber, etc. And we're also probably going to do team previews not too late in the year, but are there any... You want to do the draft thing, don't you?
I really want to do the draft thing.
So when do we do that? Do we do that at the start of the next season after our team previews, or do we do that in between the awards and the team previews? And
between the awards and the team previews, we'll do the draft.
With who? Just the two of us?
No. We got to rope in some people.
Miss Rouge.
Miss, she's not married anymore. Jesus. Yeah, we'll get in our respective wives. We'll get in. Luke will do it. We'll get in. Maybe. Yeah, Carlos and Naichaka. We'll get in. Joe Timms if he wants to do it. We'll get in, yeah. If you want to do it, we'll get in and we'll do a live stream with 10 people, snake draft. Yeah, we'll do it like that. Yeah. I think snake draft, having pick number 2 is the worst spot.
But how do we classify who did best afterwards? Do we
then we set the rosters. Set the rosters, publish it on Twitter, get abused, and then we see whose squad has the most UCI points at the end of the year.
Okay, so it's UCI point hunting we're doing, not victory hunting or anything.
Yeah, UCI points.
Okay.
Yeah, because we could do it who has the most World Tour wins. You could do it that way. I would rather do UCI points.
Same. Okay.
So do it like that.
We got a deal.
With Pogacar, you pick number 1, you get a block of 12,000. But it's like drafting Christian McCaffrey. If he gets injured, you're fucked. So,
yeah, but is there a way?
Is there a way you can get injured? Yeah, riding their bike at high speed.
That's not what I was about to say, Patrick. What I'm trying to say is there a world in
Luke's saying he has a debilitating knee injury. He has a chronic knee pain.
So Pogacar has this year 11.6k UCI points. Second one is Vingegaard at 6k. Is there a world in which we can disqualify 3 riders that are excess points givers?
No, because
we just go everyone?
Pedersen's on 5k.
Yeah, but Del Toro as well. Almeida is close. Remco's close.
Yeah, and Remco didn't even have a full season. He started in Brabantse Pijl.
True. I think we gotta allow everything.
Because if you pick Pog first, you don't pick until pick 20.
Yeah, you're
next.
Right. Snake
Who do you get at pick 20?
I don't know, Lipovic.
You maybe, yeah, but
Gull?
Then you're. So Pog is you're trying to. Can then someone get? And whereas if you pick 10, pick 10's still no good compared to Pog. Pog's too dominant. That's the problem. But still, alrighty. That's the idea. So we're going to do, awards, fantasy draft, and then get into the previews. And by then, I think we'll have some more transfer news because the UCI license stuff is going to come out and work its way to a conclusion pretty soon, I would expect. But thanks for listening as always. See you on Thursday for the Join LRCP Zwift Indoor Series. Until then, ciao, ciao.